displacement. When there is displacement, sometimes it's a great barrier to learning.
This is Bonnie. She is 13 years old. One morning, she goes to fetch water for her mother. While Bonnie was at the power hall, she was thinking about her studies.
I'm going for my geography lesson, so
on her way home, she heard a group of men arguing.
I can hear some gunshots. Let me hurry home.
All of a sudden, her mother came out of the house and told her to escape the conflict. Over the next month, Bonnie and her mother moved from one place to another. They reached the POC camp in Juba with the other people that had left their home.
They end up living in the POC in Juba. In the drawing, it shows a lot of tents and rubbish all over, no toilets, and the place is so bushy. This is so bad. I wish to go home.
When Bonnie's mother was passing by, she realized that there was a school set up for girls like Bonnie so they can continue their education after being displaced. A week later, Bonnie has fetched water and he is looking forward to her geography lesson.
Deputy Executive Director of UNICEF, he is responsible for making meaningful changes for the lives of children around the world. Mr. Forsyth.
Thank you very much, Emily. A few days ago, I was in Nigeria in a state called Borno, which has been ravaged by malnutrition, by cholera, and by conflict. Most of the conflict perpetrated by an extremist group called Boko Haram. And I met a group of young girls, the youngest which was Fatima, who was only 11 years old. And she told me her story, and she asked me today to tell you her story in the meeting. Fatima, who I say was only 11, was in her village, and the Boko Haram fighters came. They killed her father in front of her. They then burned the village to the ground. And she was abducted by the fighters and taken off into the bush. And for 5 months, this young 11-year-old girl was raped. She was forcibly married, if you can be married at 11. She was forced to do cooking, collect wood. She was beaten and abused. And finally, like many of the girls that we've read about in recent history, she escaped, and she was now living in a camp for displaced families, including many children and young girls, in the capital of the state, Maiduguri. And I sat on the floor of a temporary school in that camp with 8 of those girls. The youngest was Fatima, but the oldest was 17, and all of them told me that story in different ways. And I asked Fatima and all the other girls what they most wanted in life. And all of them, one by one, said, we want hope, we want an education, we want a chance for a future. And so I hope today we can commit to give Fatima a future, to give all of those 8 girls a future, to give the hundreds of thousands and millions of girls a future through education. I love the slogans from earlier. So maybe we can all join together in the final thing that we can say together, to say, Fatimata, we love you.
Fatimata, we love you.
Fatimata, we believe in you.
Fatimata, we believe in you.
Fatimata, you are not alone.
Fatimata, you are not alone.
Thank you.
Hey, there's a call from Canada about girls being treated unfairly in schools. Do you want to take it, Maya?
To be a girl is to feel the weight of a million contradictions. You should be smart, but never to the point where it's threatening. Attractive, but effortless. It is important for you to have self-confidence and believe in yourself, but the world will never let you forget that your self-esteem could be easily mistaken for an ugly aggression that must be mitigated before you gather too much steam. Today, girls can be found in debating societies in all corners of the world, from Denmark to Canada, Nigeria, Botswana, India, South Korea. Yet, in all of our circumstances, it can seem as though the place we've taken wasn't meant for us. Maybe it's because our looks and outfits will speak for us before our mouths ever can, or perhaps the pitch of our voice isn't deep enough to carry conviction. And of course, there's the fatal mistake of daring to show that you care. How could you be so emotional? Didn't you know that your passion would be seen as irrational? Early on, debate taught me that boys were met with applause for their persuasive fervor, while girls got little more than rolled eyes and disdain. So, I made the mistake that so many of us do, one that breaks down self-esteem and replaces it with well-founded insecurity. I told myself it was simple. I just wasn't good enough. So I practiced, and I spoke in front of mirrors and into the bottom of my phone, waiting for the recording where my voice would hit a satisfying pitch and an unthreatening tone. I feel lucky to have been one of the girls to make it to the highest levels of competition, having the honor to represent my country as a member of Canada's national debate team. But I don't just owe it to myself. I owe it to the girls who were before me. A community of girls who only compete against each other to get better, without the need to tear each other down in order to secure a place for ourselves. Instead of harboring hostility, we should have faith in our strengths, and now find ourselves on a female majority team. Debate is shifting. Debate may have challenged the merits of my voice, but it also helped me find it. Today, I am confident in my activism and my advocacy. I started a mentorship program in my community to help connect young girls with women who can provide them with the support and advice that they need to find the success that we as girls are far too often told that we cannot have. Today, I am empowered by the voice debate has helped me uncover, and tomorrow, another girl will be too.
Girls are in crisis when their nails aren't done, as if it's a signature for who they are. They take stands and won't leave the house until they see that shimmer and shine flashing from their long blue coffin nails. Girls are in crisis when their eyebrows are on fleek, as if it determines who they're going to be. As if a boy won't speak to you because you don't have that arch. Girls are in crisis when they run out of makeup, as if they need validation to look better. Some type of crisis you're having.
Nothing can prepare you to be a girl in my country, Venezuela. I did all that was asked from me. I focused on my studies, worked with all my might so that someday I can have a stable future. And in exchange, something as basic as buying a feminine hygiene product, deodorant, or soap is impossible. I did all that was asked from me when it came to saving food so that I wouldn't have to go to the animal-like atmosphere of the supermarkets. And still, I stand under the sun for hours in endless lines with my mother searching for basic foods without the slightest security of getting inside the store or finding them. I did all that was asked from me when I left the house. I was never alone. I hid my phone. I covered up. And still, I was taken as a hostage and used to extort my parents. Violence has become so commonplace here that my kidnapping just satisfied the stats. I did all that was asked from me, and thus I was allowed to give a graduation speech where I paid homage to the students who were killed and imprisoned for peacefully claiming our freedoms. And in return, I was attacked on social media with death threats. But I will not be asked to be quiet. I will continue to speak up in social media, in marches, and in my daily life so that girls here can someday meet the Venice that we all dream of.
I don't remember every stare, every whistle, every brush of my arm, but I do remember the feeling. Street corners and subway cars become twisted with the curve of his smile, the way he slid far too close, the way I pulled down my skirt and maybe yelled back if I was feeling brave enough, if I was feeling safe enough. It's the way they corner you in streets when the lights are red or let you know when they've decided you've become a woman. Every girl I know has a story of groping and harassment. They ask me if I've ever been grabbed on the train like it's as much a nuisance as having to tie your shoe. It's so ingrained in their brains that it doesn't even faze. I don't remember every stare, every whistle, every brush of my arm, but I do remember the feeling.
about one of the biggest issues facing girls and our world, climate change. So I'm going to share some information. Many of the girls who are suffering most from climate change probably do not have access to phones to call us. Global warming does not discriminate. It affects everyone, regardless of race, religion, socioeconomic status, or gender, as we've seen from global natural disasters in the past few months. Yes, climate change impacts every single person, but the aftermath disproportionately hurts girls. After an earthquake, wildfire, or hurricane, essentials such as water and firewood are in short supply. A very real consequence of natural disasters is the contamination and destruction of local wells or nearby forests. Consequently, girls are forced to walk extremely long distances or unfamiliar routes. These newfound conditions create repercussions. It can force girls out of school if her school is even standing after the disaster. Most importantly to the life of a girl is being forced to provide for their families after natural disasters, or even subtle changes in conditions caused by climate change. When a natural disaster strikes, girls are often forced from school to help the community rebuild, aid in search of missing persons, and taking care of small children. About 65 million girls are denied access to education around the world, and millions more are forced out of school each year due to natural disasters. Another pivotal issue is the fact that girls are at a high risk of experiencing harassment, sexual assault, or other forms of gender-based violence after a natural disaster. While traveling the long distances necessary to support their families, they often travel alone or with small groups of other girls in unfamiliar areas. This makes girls vulnerable to attack. According to a report conducted by UN Women, there is a 300% increase in in new domestic violence cases reported by the Tana Women's Counseling Center after 2 tropical cyclones hit Taipei Province in Vanuatu in 2011. The effects of climate change reach far beyond natural disasters. Even smaller crises have disastrous effects for the lives of girls. Climate change causes temperature changes, flooding, coastal and river erosion, and heavy rains, all of which affect workers, especially farmers, and about 43% of farmers in developing countries are female. Even subtle temperature changes can make it more difficult for them to care for animals and crops. Too much rain can create conditions for dangerous fungus growth and drought can create conditions for erosion. This issue is deeply important, threatening the safety and livelihood of hundreds of thousands of women and girls. The aftermath of these changes mean that there's been a sharp increase in the number of girls forced into child marriage. Families can feel forced to sell their daughters in order to lighten economic pressures or in a mistaken effort to protect the girl. The consequences of child marriages are numerous and devastating. Child marriage impedes a girl's mental and emotional health. Girls are isolated. They have higher chances of contracting sexually transmitted diseases and have a higher chance of dangerous complications during pregnancy and childbirth. Together, we must support girls that are vulnerable due to the effects of climate change. It is up to us to begin a dialogue about climate change in our countries and communities and appeal to leaders to create legislation and action plans to protect girls around the world from the hidden consequences of climate change. And we have another girl who came all the way to New York from South Africa to share her story about how she is working on the issue of climate change. Tandil Wetu is from South Africa in the deep rural area of KwaZulu-Natal province. She is in grade 9. She is a future journalist that will capture the most ignored issues, especially issues that affect girls and those which devastate environment. She belongs to MTON-JA, which is a core project of Women's Leadership and Training Program. WLTP is an organization that enables girls like Tando to realize their leadership potential and that of their communities. Tando is a club member of Project 90 by 2030, which is an organization that works with schools to cut down their carbon footprints using energy, biodiversity, and water projects. Her passion is to work with girls on issues related to climate change and on issues that violate girls' rights. Tando?
Good afternoon. I'm very excited to be here today. As a rural girl from Sensukau in southern KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa, I suffer from climate change. I live in a water-scarce country. Global warming is drying up our waterfalls, rivers, and rivers. When it does rain, we often have floods because the aeroplanes can't absorb the water. After school, I and other girls walk about 2 kilometers to fetch water in the bucket from the nearest drop spring. There I join the queue until it's been 10. Then I begin a long walk with 25 feet, almost 7 gallons of buckets of water on my head. Boys often harass me and other girls by saying, "You have a nice skateboard, come and be my girlfriend." In Zulu, these words are very friendly. In winter it's dark, and we fear that boys might attack or even try to rape us. We girls protect ourselves by walking in groups, but sometimes I have to go on my own, and that is very scary. By the time I get home, it is 6 o'clock, and I have to wash my school uniform, dishes, and cook because my mother is not yet home from work. It is difficult to do homework or to study for an exam after all that physical and emotional stress. The possibilities of me excelling in school are limited, and I think this is why boys often improve at high school. Where I live, the lack of waste management accelerates the impact of climate change, like the drought we are facing. People dispose of their plastic in other households by throwing them into the streams. Just imagine dirty disposable napkins, diapers floating upstream. The water close to our home is very polluted as we cannot use it for gardening and washing clothes and making wood bricks. We have to walk so far from our houses to find clean water. During floods, the waste into the streams is washed into the rivers and then into the sea. This pollutes the ocean and makes it less able to absorb carbon from the atmosphere. Wanting to take action to combat climate change and its impact. Some girls and I joined an organization called MTOJ at the old spring. MTOJ worked with youth in local communities to keep our wealth and security. During our meetings, we analyzed our problems with water and waste and make a plan. First, we did a household survey asking people what they did their way. At the same time, we educated them about the content. 90% of women in interviewed were very welcome, and 50% of them even volunteered to become a custodian who will educate others to keep our streams clean. To clean our streams, we have to put on rubber gloves, plastic hose, tape, and gum boots, walk into the streams and pull out all the waste and put it into the large plastic bag. We then negotiate with the municipal officials to take the bags, as many as 100 to the landfill site. Soon the water quality in the streams near our homes will improve. We won't need to walk so far to fetch water. We also will have more time for our schoolwork and our math will improve. My school participated in an organization called Project Nice by 2030, which challenged South Africa to think and act differently. Our organization focused on reducing carbon emissions in South Africa and aimed to develop environmental leadership with youth in energy and water security in our communities. My school has been identified as a champion because of our involvement on government projects that combat climate change by sinking the carbon emissions. We are responding to Sustainable Development Goal number 1 to end poverty. We would like UN to support our work with funding, publicity, and official data. And I would like you to take action to help us respond to climate change.
So I now have the pleasure of introducing Ms. Laura London, who is the Deputy Executive Director of UNFPA. Ms. London was appointed as UNFPA Deputy Executive Director in October of 2015. As Deputy Executive Director, she was responsible for developing the organization of UNFPA. Previously, she has worked in other UN branches that have involved refugees and peacekeeping and has strong interagency experience. Ms. London.
Thank you very much, and let me just begin by saying that for those of us who spent considerable hours in this particular UNECOSO forum, this is by far the most serious, inspirational, and meaningful fun that I have had. Climate change has been indeed called one of the greatest global health challenges of the 21st century, of our generation, but more importantly, of your generation and those generations to come. Of 500 million adolescent girls in the developing world, 200 million currently live in the poorest states in the state of emergency. When it comes to their health, their education, and certainly their rights. Climate change wreaks havoc on human rights, on sexual reproductive health and rights, and breeds inequality in all its vicious forms. Climate change not only poses a threat, as you know, but it also provides an opportunity that I think young people are absolutely key to tackling. Now, what do we need to do? And I still remember being a young girl and remembering how it felt when somebody told you the things that you already knew. So I want to approach this perspective of having recapped what you so inspiringly already said. know and understand all of your rights, your human rights, your sexual reproductive health and rights, without relativity, without compromise. Understand and know inequalities in all its vicious forms. There's no one form of inequality, each breeds from the other and each causes the next one. It's grotesque, and we need to understand and recognize it where it is so that we can address it. We have to understand the impact of lack of rights, lack of human rights, lack of sexual and reproductive health and rights in terms of their impact. They are multidimensional, they are intergenerational on girls, on boys, on families, on societies, and our global future. What do we need to do? We demand your space, your seat at the table, and you already have done that. And again, why do I say that you already know this? Because you already, young people, you understand this is a problem, and you feel it. 84% of young people agree that climate change is a problem and something needs to be done. About 73% of the young people say that they currently feel the effects. You're already taking action on combating climate change. Close to 500,000 young people around the world have taken action on climate change through small grants programs in their homes, in their schools, and their communities. You believe and you know that you can make a difference. 89% of young people say that they can make a difference. And you are the key in raising awareness, running educational programs, promoting sustainable lifestyles, educating the previous generations, conserving nature, supporting renewable energy, and adopting environmentally friendly practices and implementing adaptation and mitigation projects. And you have the power. You constitute the majority of the population in many countries, and you have an increasingly strong and social and environmental awareness, which has the power to transform our societies towards a low carbon and climate resilient future and a better future for all of us. Thank you.
Girls are in crisis when they go to work and are criticized for being just as assertive as men.
When they walk proudly down the streets with shorts, they feel threatened by the catcalls and stares that follow them.
When they're told to man up because woman up isn't strong enough.
When they feel guilty because they don't look as good as the girls on the cover of magazines.
When makeup brands don't cover all the beautiful shades they come in.
When as children they are over-sexualized and defined as a joke.
When they're taught to cook and clean while their brothers are not.
When they can't speak in the room because they are constantly being cut off by others.
When they aren't accepted as girls because they don't have a uterus.
When they are taught to love Prince but instead want to be their own queen.
Or love another princess.
When their bodies are being more valued than what their minds have to offer.
Girls are in crisis when they can't love themselves because the world can't fully love them.
I speak not for myself, but for those without voice, those who have fought for their right to live in peace, their right to be treated with dignity, their right to equality of opportunity, their right to be educated. Girls face struggles every day. Here are some of ours.
I like playing Minecraft, but because it's more a boys' game, I feel singled out.
People tell me that I would look prettier if I smiled all the time. I deserve to be myself. I deserve to be the standard of being accepted.
I deserve to be treated the same as others.
I deserve to feel confident, to be comfortable in my own skin,
To be safe in my streets.
be respected, feel safe, to be empowered.
Just the strongest voice. People will listen. He deserves to be heard.
So yes, I'm a superwoman.
Madam Lakshmi Puri, the Assistant Secretary General of the United Nations and the Deputy Executive Director of UN Women. Madam Puri advocates for gender equality and has contributed significantly to positioning UN Women as a global advocate for gender equality and women's empowerment. Madam Puri.
Wow, as always, this is my most, as they say, my granddaughter would say, most favorite event and highlight of the year. Apart from the fact that it celebrates young women and girls, it is also about a cause that must begin with girls. Gender equality and women's empowerment begins with girls. And you supergirls here have mastered what the feminist movement has tried to do over the many years by storytelling. You bring out issues that go beyond and unpack the UN jargon that we use to express both the challenges and opportunities and the actions that we need to take to end gender inequality, discrimination, and violence against women and girls. So thank you. Thank you also for bringing out so evocatively the despairing aspects of where we are today. You said very clearly that many, many girls today, unlike my granddaughter, Maya, who has all the opportunities, she has a voice, she has choices. Millions of girls around the world do not have a voice, do not have choices, do not have security. And we know that they face and sometimes survive, but others times don't, systematic sexual and gender-based violence and discrimination. Many do not even get to be born because of girl aversion and subjected to feticide and sex selection. Girls, like so many of you illustrated, burdened with providing care work and domestic work and are denied other opportunities. So many of you, as you have illustrated, are systematically denied and discriminated against in education, and it was very graphically brought out at all levels, primary, secondary, tertiary, and in vocational and STEM. All of those levels, all of those types of education are so integral to gender equality and women's empowerment for girls. And also, so many and too many are forced into child marriage, early pregnancy, and also girls in rural communities or remote areas with no access to basic services, and we have that illustration in South Africa. And infrastructure, all of this arrests the path, arrests the development of girls on that path. So, and then imagine, this year the theme, as you know, is also about girls in immigrants. So you can imagine the impact, the compounded discrimination and inequality that girls face. Girls on the move, migrants, refugees, in health crisis like major Ebola crisis that was there, in conflicts, in natural disasters, climate change induced extreme weather emergencies and other emergencies. They face cumulative layers of discrimination, higher rates of exploitation, sexual, physical and psychological abuse, fear, violence, lack of access to sexual and reproductive health care services, human trafficking and contemporary forms of slavery. And then, I think all of you very graphically brought out the intersectionality of this discrimination, which is, it could be based, and marginalization and vulnerability on the grounds of religion, race, socioeconomic status, sexual orientation, or disabilities, and I want to emphasize disabilities. And I reflect on our responsibility as an international community, as the UN as well, to step up and speak out. And we can no longer continue to fail our girls. Every single girl must be supported through their voice participation and partnership building in addressing all intersecting forms of justice. And I really love the focus on justice for girls, because it is also about gender justice. And through opportunities in education, skills training, livelihood development, and also in the context of humanitarian planning and programming. And this is what we at UN Women are trying to do through our many programs, including the global flagship initiative on women's leadership, empowerment, access and protection in crisis response, but also marrying that with our youth strategy for young women's empowerment in all circumstances. So we remain committed, and we want to stand up and fight with you for the rights of girls everywhere, in every situation, and in every way. That is why we are working hard to try a gender responsive implementation of Agenda 2030. Please make that your slogan. SDG 5 implementation, I5, and also gender responsive humanitarian action and resilience building. Earlier today, I wanted to evoke at the official celebration of the International Day of the Girl, we invoked and provoked everyone to make a pledge. Governments, the UN, civil society, everyone, all actors, in good times and in crisis. And I want you to repeat after me this pledge. We pledge to.
We pledge to.
Work for. Include. And empower girls and young women always.
Empower girls and young women always.
To respect and protect women's human rights.
Respect and protect women's human rights.
And girls' human rights.
And girls' human rights.
In all circumstances.
In all circumstances.
Including emergencies.
Including emergencies.
We pledge to keep girls safe and secure.
We pledge to keep girls safe and secure.
We pledge to nurture their capabilities in all fields.
We pledge to nurture their capabilities in all fields.
We pledge to make girls' voices, talent, and creativity integral to decision making. We pledge to promote and harness girls' leadership as solution providers. And last but not least, unleash girl power in all its dimensions.
Unleash girl power in all dimensions.
So that your potential is fully realized.
So that your potential is fully realized.
Phones are still ringing.
Just because our shift is over doesn't mean girls don't need justice anymore.
We need more girls to listen.
We need more people to hear this.
It's your turn now.
Together, girls can
Accept,
love, cherish, support,
strengthen,
mobilize, educate, reach, dream, lead, dance, laugh, sing, welcome, and free!
We would like to thank everybody here for attending the 6th Annual International Day of the Girls. We thank the missions of Canada, Peru, and Turkey for leading the General Assembly to proclaim this day for girls. Thank you to the UN Deputy Secretary General, Amina Mohammed, Minister of Status for Women, Maria Monsef, Deputy Executive Director of UNICEF, Justin Forsyth, Deputy Executive Director of UNFPA, Laura London, and Assistant Secretary General and Deputy Director of UN Women's Institute. Finally, let us not only applaud the amazing work of the inspirational girl activists, girl advocates, and performers, but also everybody who came here and is watching via live stream. We thank you for caring about the mark girls make on the world. For girls to have their own day, especially acknowledged by the United Nations, is an amazing feat and will be celebrated. Yet, it does beg the question, why weren't girls recognized earlier? Imagine the progress that could have taken place sooner if girls took their rightful place at the United Nations earlier. We must not be afraid of the implementation and mention of gender equality in policymaking. We cannot arbitrarily allow progress to slow down any longer. We are celebrating girls today, but tonight we must think about how we will redirect our efforts and make this world more considerate of girls. We will not leave our motivations behind in the ECOSOC chamber. We will use hashtag IDG 2017 and hashtag Justice for Girls to show the rest of the world that we support girls. We support the implementation of action plans for girls in response to the Sustainable Development Goals, 2030 Agenda, and decisions in policy making from today forward. We will advocate to eliminate child marriage, help displaced girls, strengthen access to education, and fight climate change and discrimination. We will be bold and brash like all the activists here today, because our work is only beginning. Thank you very much.